All right, so we're going to estimate like you did on the homework. I'm just reading the question at first. Which choice best represents angle ABC? So I told you to always compare things to a right angle. How many degrees is a right angle? 90. Okay, so this is obviously going to be less than 90, so which letters can I cancel out? B and C, definitely not going to be B or C. So do we think it's going to be A or D? D would be the closest thing. Number 2, again, compare everything, bless you, to a right angle. Is it more or less than a right angle? It is less, so I'm going to cross out everything that's bigger than that. Do we think it's going to be 79 or 21? 79. The next one, is it more or less than a right angle?
More.
It's more, so then all that's left is 107 and 180. What does 180 look like? A straight line. Is that what we have in our picture? No, so we'd say 107. Good. Our next one, what do we think? It's not on your page, we're just looking up here. 159. What do you think 0 degrees would look like? Nothing. It's nothing. A circle is 360 degrees. The next one we have, looks like a straight line, so how many degrees is that?
180.
That's 180 degrees. Okay. The next one, is it more or less than 90? Less than 90, so definitely canceling this one out. So here's a way to think of this, because most people got stuck here. What is halfway? 45. So this looks a little less than halfway. So which number would we pick? 32. Number 7, what do we think? 18. Number 8, 114, and then number 9 is going to be 90. Good. So today's goal, we're going to do part of 1.5. We're not going to get to all of these notes because it's a lot, but we're going to be naming angles, measuring on a protractor, wherever my protractor went. Next week, as long as, we don't get any hurricane days, we'll see. You're going to be measuring on protractors, okay? I own enough for everyone, but we'll be working with those. And then identifying congruent angles, okay? Before we do, we're going to do our terms at the top. So the first one is an angle. An angle consists of 2 different rays that have the same initial point. So an angle consists of 2 different rays that have the same initial point. So if that's the case, what are the sides of an angle made up of? It says it. They're rays. So 2 different rays make this particular angle. So what you're going to write for sides of angle, I think that's the second vocab term, you're just going to write that they're rays. So the sides are made up of rays. What 2 rays do we have here in this picture? AB and AC. Are they opposite rays? No. They're not. Why not? Yeah, they don't go in opposite directions. Opposite mean completely opposite. Okay? So then the initial point, we don't call it the initial point. We call it the angle's vertex. So all you have to write for that is that it is the initial point of the angle. So from now on, whenever you refer to this, you're going to call it a vertex every single time. What was vertex plural? Vertices. Okay, so there's a vertex of an angle. And then we're going to talk about naming them. So I'm going to show you how to name them and then see if you can see the pattern. Okay, so there are 3 ways. I'll show you the first 2. We have BAC, so I'm going to highlight it for you, BAC. We also have CAB, so CAB. So whenever you're naming an angle, you list it like you're drawing it. So you saw how I drew the outside. What do these 2 angles have in common? You have 2 things. Okay, the middle is A, because what's the middle? What is A? A is the vertex. So in order to name the angle, there are three ways I said. You could say angle A, because that's the vertex. Angle BAC, or angle CAB. The vertex always has to be in the center if you're naming with three letters. What is the other thing all three have in common? The angle symbol. So you want to draw that somewhere? So this is called the angle symbol. This is how you name an angle. If you don't have that, then you're not naming an angle. You're naming nothing. So you want to use that symbol. The last term we're just going to talk about, so you don't have to flip back here when we get to it. What does the word congruent mean? Nope. Same what? Same length or same measure? You put same on your terms and I marked it wrong. It does not mean same. Equal means same. Same measure or same length. So if you have congruent angles, those are angles with the same measure. So I'd write it in. So congruent angles are angles with the same measure. So angles with the same measure. Angles with the same measure. And we'll talk about them. This is where we're going to use a highlighter. Now you see your picture and mine. You're going to highlight with your first one, to the best of your ability, the upper angle here. So you're going to highlight the upper portion that's of this picture. How many angles are in this picture alone? There's three. So we have this upper one we've highlighted, the lower one. Where's the third one? The whole thing, the outer angle. Okay, so that's your third. So we're going to name them. So you're going to use the angle symbol, and then you name it like you're drawing it. So you're going to say PQS. PQS. And again, it matters that Q is going to be in the center. So we could say angle PQS. What else could we say? SQP. Angle SQP. Good. Those are the two ways to name this angle. So you're going to take your highlighter, highlight the bottom portion. We'll name this one as well. I would use a different color. If you don't have a second color, then I would just ask a friend or someone around you. Maybe trade with the person you're sitting next to. So what could we name this angle? SQR, I agree. All right, so angle SQR, what's the other option? RQS. So angle SQR and angle RQS. All right, so SQR or RQS. The last one is of the entire angle. So your third color, going to highlight the whole angle. All right, so what are we going to name this angle? What'd you say? PQR. I'll tell you why in a second. So PQR and angle RQP. We're not going to name it angle Q, actually. How many angles are at angle Q? 3 different angles are at that, right? So because all 3 angles have the same vertex, you cannot name any of them angle Q. Because angle Q, we don't know if you mean the green angle, the blue angle, or the purple angle. Okay? So the only time you can use one letter is when you have one angle. So like we had before. There was only one angle, one vertex. If it looked like this, then we wouldn't be able to name it angle A. Does that make sense? You're going to take your whiteboard now. We'll talk about this for a second. These are just things we have to say to each other so we're all on the same page. So if a point is on the angle, the point is on one of the rays that make up the angle. Okay. What if a point was on the inside? What is another word for inside of something? What else? If I was doing something on the inside of your house, if I was designing, what is it? Interior. So if a point's on the interior, it'll be between the rays, so inside. And then what's the opposite of interior? We have exterior, which means the point is on the, not in or on the angle. Okay, so we just have to be on the same page with what those words mean. We're going to keep on naming. So on your whiteboard, you're going to check that you're correct, and then you can write it on your paper. You're going to name this angle. You can name it both ways. Go. All right, so you're naming it both ways. Your second one, I would check that one. Wait. No, you're good. You're good. There's a lot of you. Yep, good. Good, good. Good, I'm going that way. Good. Good. That look good. Good. So you said the correct answer. Angle, what do we say? JMK. That's not a K, that's ugly. Or we could say angle KMJ. That's good. The next one we're going to do is the bottom portion. You're going to do the same thing. This time you could just pick one to write so I don't have to read so many. And then I'll let you know. That's good. Yep. Good, 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 good. Good. So angle KML or angle LMK. Both were correct. All right, last you're going to name the outer angle.
I don't have an eraser.
You have to share. Good, good, good. Good, 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 good. Good. Good, good. Good, so angle JML. I always read this as Jamal. My brain puts in vowels there. Or angle LM. Oop, that's not a J. J. Okay, both are correct. Good. So we'll keep on moving. You can go ahead and write this anywhere on your notes. I don't care where you write it. It is important. If you ever see something like this, so go ahead and write M and then angle A. I need you to know what this means. You must know what it means. Because then you'll know how to answer. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you write it on your notes. I don't care. M, angle L, angle A. Does anybody want to take a shot at what they think M stands for? We've already talked about it today. Measure. So it means the measure of angle A. Perfect. You're the first class to get that. The measure of angle A. So that's what we read it as. So make sure you know, so when I ask you what M means, it means the measure. The measure of angle A. So you would write an answer. So you'd write a number, and then you'd put degrees. So just like when it's 99 degrees outside, it has a little bubble. The same thing when we measure angles. So whenever you name it, you put a bubble above. We're going to talk about protractors. So if you see here's a protractor, I know it's blurry. You can be on page 2. You'll see a protractor on that one as well. So here's some things about a protractor. It has 2 rows of angles. Does everyone see this? 2 rows. What's the difference between the rows? Can anybody tell me? They're opposite. So the top row, 0 starts on the left and then goes to the right. On the bottom row, 0 starts at the right and goes to the left. Basically, it depends which row you're going to use. You can decide for yourself. I always try to choose the easiest thing, just like you guys would. If you see on our angle up here on this picture, because it's not on your notes, just up here, angle, this portion of the angle, this ray right here, what number does it start at? 0. So what you would do to tell me the measurement, which row is 0 on, the top or the bottom? The bottom. So when I go to my other ray, I have to again read from the bottom. So what is the distance from 0 to 50? 50. So this angle is 50 degrees. So the answer to this, the measure of angle BAC would be 50 degrees. So whenever you see the little m, your answer is going to be a number. Okay? Let's say you have a protractor and one of the rays is not on 0. Let's do this. Can everyone see the yellow? Are either of my rays at a 0? No. But I still would need to measure them. So you would need to pick a row. You always have to read from the same row for both rays. So do we want to pick from the top or the bottom? It does not matter to me. Sure. So what number is my bottom ray at? I know it's really hard to see. It's 130. Oops, sorry, I missed. And then over here, what number is my second ray at? 30. So here is how you find the measure of them. It's going to be the absolute value of the difference. So here's what that means. What does difference mean? Subtraction. Absolute value means it's going to turn out to be a positive number. So you're going to subtract them. So what is 130 minus 30? 100. So 100 degrees would be the measure of this angle. Angles can never be negative. Write it down. Angles can never be negative. So if you get a negative answer for an angle, I don't care where you write it. If you get a negative answer for an angle, what does that tell you?
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Go back. Try to think through it. Try to fix it. Okay? Just like length can never be negative, aka some of your tests. Have you ever looked at a table and said, this is negative 8 feet long? Is that a thing? No. You've never said, to grandma's house is negative 1,000 miles. Not a thing. Okay? So distance, length, and then angles, they're all going to be positive. Okay? So that's the purpose of the absolute value. Basically, you don't need absolute value as long as you subtract the small number from the big number. So the purpose for absolute value is if you said 30 minus 130. What's 30 minus 130? Negative what? 100, and the absolute value of 100 is 100. So if you always subtract the smaller number from the bigger number, you don't really need the absolute value bars. Okay? So this is the top of page 2. Angles can be classified according to their measures. You did this for homework yesterday. An angle less than 90, what do we call that? Acute. So you're going to fill it in on your notes. Acute, because they're so cute. Small things in life are usually cute. You know, kittens. Even if you don't like a cat, you like a kitten. Goes here, buddy. Puppies are cute. We agree? Little bunnies are cute. You may hate them as adults, but the little babies are cute. What if it is 90 degrees exactly? Is it a right angle? If it's over 90, obtuse, because it's obese. And then if it is exactly 180, straight. Straight angle. You don't want to say line. It's not a line. It's going to be a straight angle. Straight angle. So a straight angle is 180 degrees. A straight line, the length of a straight line will never be 180 degrees. Meaning, I've seen a lot of people do this. What would the length of x be? 1. People mix up often. The length and measure of angles do not go together. So the length of a line will not be 180 degrees. The measure of an angle, do you see this arc thing they got going on here? Think of a fan. Y'all ever seen like a hand fan? I think of a Chinese fan. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like this and then you open it up. Okay. Whenever you're measuring an angle, you're measuring like the fan width. Does that make sense? So you're not measuring like the line in any way, shape, or form. You're measuring like the width between the two rays. Okay? So we're going to use that. We have our protractor here. It's on your page. Find the degree of each of the following angles. Classify each as acute, right, or obtuse. So here's where people go wrong on their quiz or their test. How many answers are you going to have for each of these? How many answers?
2.
2. Why are we going to have 2? What's the first answer?
The measure.
The measure, second answer? What classification? Most people skip the second part. Don't be that person. Okay? So here we go. We're going to do AOB. That's the first one. So you start at A, go towards O, and then end at what letter? B. Are either of my rays at 0? Yes. A is at 0. Is it in the top row or the bottom row? Bottom. So let's read the bottom row. So you're going to go all the way to B. Okay. So B looks like it's in the dead center between 30 and 40. So what number would that be? 35. So how many degrees is this? 35, which makes it what kind of angle? Acute. So 35 and then acute. I'm not going to write it. You'll just have to write it yourself. Next one we have AOC. AOC. Are either of my rays at 0? Yes. So it's in the bottom row of A. So I'm going to read the bottom row at C, because again you have to read the same row the whole time. So what is C at? 65. And A is at 0, so 65 minus 0 is 65. Is this acute, right, or obtuse? It's acute. So we're filling in the answers here. All right, then we have B-O-C. Hopefully you can see that. Let me choose a different color. B-O-C. I did not do a good job. It is what it is. So you choose this time. Are either of them at 0? No. So you're going to need to choose which row you want to read from. Most people choose the smaller numbers. So we could pick the bottom row. What number would B be at? 35. And then 65. And then what do I do with these two numbers? Subtract. So 65 minus 35 is 30. Which makes it acute. So I'm going to pause, look up here. If we had used the top row, what number would C be at? 115. What number would B be at? 145. If you still subtracted them, what's 145 minus 115? Still 30. So you still get the same answer if you use a different row. Okay, but you have to use the same row in the angle. Okay. Letter D, we have B-O-E. So we're going to do it B-O-E. Pick a row to read from. Sure, the bottom. So you have to read both of them from the bottom. Both of them. So what number, we'll start with E. What number is E at? 145. What number is B at? All right, so then what do we do with these numbers? So what is 145 minus 35? 110, which makes it obtuse. So make sure you're writing in acute and obtuse with it. Make sure you're writing in acute and obtuse. All right, we have C-O-E. So C-O-E. What's E at? Well, pick a row. Sure, the bottom. What is E at? 145. And what is C at? 65. So subtract. What is 145 minus 65? It is 80, which makes it acute. Then we have COD. I missed. It's okay. If we continue reading the bottom row, we have 110 and what number? 65. What's 110 minus 65? 45. Sorry, I thought you said it's 40. All right, which makes it acute. All right, then we have BOD. BOD. So we have what number on the bottom for D? 110. And then for B? All right, so 110 minus 35, which is 75. And that makes it acute. And last one's easy again. We have AOE. Why is this one easy again? Starts at 0, so which row do I need to read when I go to E? The bottom, because 0's on the bottom. So what number is it at? 145, which makes it obtuse. Good. Flip to the next page. We're almost done. We don't have time for the whiteboard, unfortunately. You've already written this. Congruent angles have the same measure, so these two are congruent. So basically what you would write in the first box, their measures are equal. So you're going to write in this phrase, because their measures are equal. So the measure of angle BAC, that's the first box, the measure of angle BAC is equal to the measure of angle DEF. The measure of angle BAC is equal to the measure of angle DEF. But what does it mean? What does it mean when measures are equal? Or when measures are the same? What is that called? Congruent. So instead of writing this all lengthed out, you would say angle angle BAC is congruent to angle DEF. So the congruent symbol replaces the equal measures. So again, what you would see is the measure of angle A is 50. That's where you'd see the little m. That's where you see it most, is when you're listing the measure of an angle. All right, so we're going to talk about congruent angles on this picture. Before we do, how did we know if a line was congruent? Like, how did I know if this line was congruent to this line? What did it have? I had what? The little dashes, he was saying. So in angles, it's something similar. So I'm going to give you 4 angles. They're going to have arcs. So what you would do to know which ones are congruent? Angle A, how many arcs does angle A have? 1. Which other angle has 1? D. So those two are congruent because they have the same number of arcs. Angle B has 2 arcs, so which one would it be congruent to? C. Okay, so what we're going to do in this picture, we have this ugly quilt. They literally just took all the scraps, apparently, that were left over and made this weird-looking thing. We're going to identify the congruent angles based on the arcs we see. So pick an angle that is marked in the first shape, the top shape. So we're going to use 1 letter. So you can use 1 letter here. Why? Because there's 1 angle at each vertex. So 1 angle, 1 angle, 1 angle. They're not split. If it looked like this, there'd be 2 angles. But there's 1. So someone said angle F. That's fine. So what is angle F going to be congruent to in the other picture? Angle D. Because they both have 2 arcs. All right, and then what's the other set of congruent angles? Angle G and angle B. Angle G is congruent to angle B. Good. The last thing we do all together today. The measure of angle ADC is 140. So go ahead and outline ADC. Starting at A, going towards what letter? D, and then ending at C. So it has these 2 arcs. All right, so it's asking what's the measure of EFG, which also has 2 arcs. So what does that mean? They're congruent. So if ADC is 140, what is the measure of EFG? 140. So here's what your answer would look like. The measure of angle EFG is equal to 140 degrees. Okay, so based off this picture. So we're going to stop there.